But just want to thank Mzamo for availing his time. I know he's a big believer of learning and upskilling and really sharing, and that's what the platform is about. So it's going to be a nice one. So, get ready to be blown away with the chickens.
Okay, what I didn't choose a chicken anything because I don't eat chicken, so I really I don't eat chickens. I just farm them at home. I have a sanctuary. Like, I think I have 20 now. I just rescue them. The last chicken I rescued, I saw they were, I don't know what they were going to do, but I just ran and I gave them $100 and I took the chicken and then I left it at home. So they roam around there at home. And my daughter gave them names, all 20. So you can tell, I'm really not poor. If I was poor, I would eat them, but I don't. And I also don't drink coffee. So I've never acquired the taste. I grew up in a village. Coffee was for old people and privileged people. I only just drank goat milk and cows and sheep. So that was free. And you could just drink it straight from the cow. No consent needed. So now, I thought what I would do is I'll tell you stuff that I've been working now for 28 years. And my oldest daughter is 23. So I've been around long enough. And I thought, when I started working, I was a data scientist, so I was a researcher. So luckily for me, I started as a researcher. And I've always loved research, and I've always liked behavioral science. I've always liked data science and why people do the things they do. That's always been actually the thing I'm most interested in. The rest is just, I had being a CMO, you make more money. So I just did it because I wanted the money. But the thing that I really like is just why, is answering why. That's what I really like. I am assuming if I press up.
Yes.
Oh, down. Okay. So I put a disclaimer because over time, whenever I have given talks, I have had a few people who I've either pissed off or I've rubbed the wrong way. And it normally happens because the last 10 years I have really been free, mentally free and economically free. So, and when you're economically free, you just talk. And that's why you really need shitloads of money. So the first advice I would give is have economic freedom, because with it comes mental freedom. And when you have mental freedom, you are more risk-taking and less risk-averse. And also, you're not worried about getting fired. And your boss's jokes are not funny. Yeah. So that's how you know you are not poor. If your boss's jokes are funny and you laugh before they even finish, you are poor, basically. That's a really clear definition of poverty. And you are not just economically poor, you are mentally poor as well. And that's what broke does for you. So anyone who wants to make great ideas, you really need to work on economic freedom, because your great ideas will come when you have less fear. And when you are broke, by the way, I can tell you the psychology of scarcity tells us that your cognitive bandwidth is compromised when you are broke, and you are risk averse, and also you can't invent a Tesla. Because it's hard to think about that shit, like the cars that drive themselves, when you are just chasing to just not be late in a taxi rank. That's really hard to move. The leap from taxi rank to a Tesla, it's just hard for the brain. But when you are not broke, that leap is easier. So it's the same with the ideas that you're all going to come up with. Some of your ideas are a reflection of your brokenness. So I'm not judging, I'm just saying. So if you do want to be able to have ideas, I'm convinced that they robbed us by not telling us that the more economically free you are, the more mentally free you are. And you can have many fuck offs to people if you are economically free. If you are not economically free, I would advise you don't do that because that's reckless. Cool. So that's the disclaimer, is that my intention actually is never to insult, is never to disrespect. My intention is just to speak a truth. And sometimes that truth might rub someone the wrong way. Hey, shit happens. The second thing I'm telling you, I'm not even giving you anything yet, is you are not money. So your job is not to be liked. There's only one thing on earth that is liked by everyone. It's money. And last I checked, most of us don't look like money. So if you want to be liked, that also means you are not going to have great ideas. You are not going to have great thoughts. Because people who want to be liked don't have great thoughts. They have okay average thoughts. But you are not here to be liked on this earth. Your mother loves you. So that should be more than enough. You can't want more than that. That's just greed. If you want to be liked by everyone, if your mother loves you, that's just enough. Or you just have one person who loves you. My daughters sometimes don't like me, which is a good sign that I'm doing a great job. Because that's when you know you're doing a great job, when you are not being liked all the time. That's my measurement of parenting, by the way. If 8 out of 10 my kids don't like me, I'm like, good, this parenting shit is working. If they like me all the time, I get worried, so I start to steer shit up just to see that I'm a good parent. So that's just same here. If you want to make great thoughts and have great ideas and things that really work, that might move society forward, then you're going to have to remove the need to be liked. And by the way, it's higher amongst women, the need to be liked. And it's just an illness we need to work on. There's medicine for it. It's called You're Not Man. And Jesus came here, half the guy's gone. He was murdered by the other half. So if that guy can walk on water and is dead, who are you? You can't even walk on anything. And now you want to be liked by everyone. So that's the key thing. So that's why you would see I put disclaimers, so that if you are religious, you also don't catch feelings. And by the way, I grew up in a mosque, in a synagogue, in a Christian. I was an altar boy. So I covered all three just in case. Okay. I'm managing risk. So what I thought I'll do, I'll tell you how brands grow, but I'll start with the brand called you. Because whenever we talk about how brands grow, we forget the individual that's supposed to be the first brand. Most people who are into marketing or brands, advertising, copywriting are poor at marketing themselves. And then, but you want to do great work, but you are poor at you as a project. So how can you then give us great work when you suck at selling yourself? So can you start with yourself first and improve? And by the way, it's not bragging if it's based on facts. When I tell people that I'm smart, that's really not bragging. I am really smart. Like I have a PhD to prove it to you. And also I majored in maths and stats. How many of you do you know do that? And I'm black. So I'm black and I have maths and I have stats and I have a PhD. So that's not bragging. That's just based on facts. It's not bragging if it's based on facts. And you can deliver after you've bragged. So don't worry about this shit. Like we're told to be humble. The humility is not going to take you anywhere. Just base it on facts and boldly say it. So that's the first part. Like it's the brand you. The first thing I thought about, like when you think about brand you, is this old man told me, when you are young, you look like your parents. From adolescent up, you just look like your choices and decisions. That's all. All of you here, you are a sum of your choices and decisions. The more they suck, the more you look like them. The more they are great, the more you look like them. So you are just a sum of your choices and decisions. Same, the brand that you are growing and the business that you're growing, the end measurements, whether you're doing brand health tracker or you're doing a P&L measurement or cash flow statement or any of those, the number that you see at the end, that revenue growth, is actually a measure of your choices and decisions. It's nothing else but choices and decisions. When you look at a net promoter score, it's actually a measurement of your choices and decisions. So the end number is choices and decisions. So make better choices and decisions. And the bolder, the better. So that's the first part. So remember, I tell my kids that the only thing they're going to do is make choices and decisions and suffer the consequences. And hopefully, because they are not poor, they're not going to land far in the bottom. They'll probably land somewhere in middle class. That's their gift in life that I give them. But if you make choices, and people tell me that poor people make poor choices, then I tell them it's clear that you don't understand the psychology of scarcity and you don't understand the economics of scarcity. Life is hard. People are not stupid. Poor people don't make poor decisions because they wake up every day looking forward to make poor choices. It's because when you live in scarcity, you make more poor choices because your cognitive bandwidth is compromised. Do you know that they did a study where they looked at farmers, seasonal workers, and they made them make decisions before payday, and then they made decisions after payday. The decisions after payday were amazing. Great choices that whole week, amazing. After that, it's hard. Because all you are thinking about is it's the same, by the way. Majority of women, if I started this and I asked for someone to help me with timekeeping, that I want to be done here by 11, the person who more likely will volunteer to do timekeeping is a woman. But what have you done with that choice? Half of your brain is focusing on keeping time without you realizing it. And half of it is listening to me, which we might as well not have been here, because you do a lot of non-promotable work. When we ask who's going to organize an event, 8 out of 10 women will say, I'll organize the event. That shit does jack shit for you. So why are you volunteering shit that does nothing for you? It's just nothing. You're like, I organized an event, then what? Now you want to be a CMO? Just because you organized tea and an event and you took minutes. When you take minutes, it means nothing. All you've done is compromise your bandwidth, and now 100% of your brain is in taking minutes, and we turn to you and we say, did you get that? And you say, yes, captured. But you are not part of this meeting. So why are you doing these choices and making these choices and decisions and then go out and complain and say it's because I'm black? No, it's because you suck at making better choices and decisions that will make you get promoted. So that's the key thing, is make better choices and decisions and stop blaming it on your skin tone. Or because I'm gay, or because I'm in a wheelchair. No, sometimes you're just making choices and decisions that suck for you. So that's the first part. You can't build a great brand if you don't have courage to speak your truth. Maya Angelou says that courage is the virtue that builds all other virtues. If you don't have courage as your virtue, it's supposed to be your foundation so that you can have the courage to be an idiot and courage to speak up and courage. Like whenever I started working, I was worried about English because I grew up in Bantu education, all of that. And I thought English was a measure of intelligence. And I realized later that actually there's a lot of things in the world invented by people who don't speak English. English is not a measure of intelligence, none. Even fluency in English is not a measure of intelligence. But I would not say something in a meeting, and then someone would say it after 30 minutes has passed, and I'm like, shit, I had that idea 30 minutes ago. But I didn't have the courage to speak up. That had nothing to do with the other person in their private school education. It had something to do with me and lack of courage. So courage is the thing. You can't have great ideas. You can't build a great brand if you don't have courage to step out, to fail. If you don't have courage to be an idiot for 2 seconds and wise for life. 9 out of 10, when I teach, I tell students that if we sit here There's enough studies done that show that only 2% of the people, if I put a concept here, understand it. The 98% are acting like they know. It's only when the courageous person raise their hand and say, could you please explain this thing? I don't understand it. You've saved the other 98%. But they're all walking looking like they know. Most of us don't know shit, but we just act like we know. And because we've been told to fake it until you make it, it's actually a flawed thing. You might as well just have the courage to be an idiot for 2 seconds and wise for life. Me, I ask lots of questions. You come and I ask you, sorry, what does that mean? And then someone would laugh. And I'm like, it's okay because I know, Shem, they don't know. I've just saved them as well. So the same part, you can't have courage if you also don't have consistency. Because the way the brain works, we look at you as the brain predicts a lot. It's a predicting. All it does is predict. When I'm walking in the street, when I grew up in Cape Flats, so when I walk, there's real gangsters and drugs in Cape Flats. Joburg doesn't have like real gangsters and drug dealers. You just have them on TV. But we in Cape Town, we have them in real life, and you walk with them, and they in and out of Bosmo prison. And when you walk, your brain is predicting. When I look at someone, it's predicting how safe am I. It does that all the time. The brain. It's the same when you're at work. The brain is predicting all the time. When you are consistent, you help our brain trust you more. When you are inconsistent, it's harder. It's the same thing. If you want to be an asshole, the best asshole you can become is a consistent asshole. Because then we know that, okay, there comes the asshole. They're going to say something rude. But we now have a plan for you. But if you are going to be a saint on Monday and Wednesday, an asshole, it's harder for the brain to keep up with your nonsense. And that's why we end up doing chronic medication. Because it is managers that make people sick. Especially if you're a manager. Your team is on chronic medication mostly because of you. So managers make people sick because you are inconsistent. Just be consistent. If you're moody, be consistently moody. The other part as well is I'm hear a lot that if you build a brand, there's a thing where when I go teach young people in particular, they would say, no, you must have multiple side hustles. And I say to them, actually, that's nonsense because all that does in all of biology or evolutionary biology or psychology, multitasking is doing everything less well. That's all it is. You just look busy and poor. That's all you've done is you've increased busy, you've increased poverty as well. You've done two things well. Increase busy, increase poverty. Because there's no such thing as a side hustle. If it's a side hustle, the measurement of a side hustle, the rule of thumb is this. If it takes you 6 months to make 1,000 rand, the side hustle must do it in 1 month. And if it's not doing that, it's a hobby. You are just having shitloads of hobbies that are increasing busyness and poverty. And you are not growing your brand because you are not growing depth. What grows a great brand or grows your personal brand is when you have great craftsmanship. And you don't do craftsmanship when you are busy doing many things. You have to do less. So if you are going to have a side hustle, just pick one and do that one well and something else. But you can't worship many masters. So this idea that you go around telling young people that they must have multiple side hustles, but they didn't grow up with 3 garage doors. There was no even one garage door. And now how are they going to have multiple side hustles when they are cognitively compromised and they are scarcity as well? In scarcity. You can't do that. So the idea is focus. Actually, single focus if you can. Just do one thing and do it well. And when you've done that one thing, if you're going to have a side hustle, the rule of thumb is just simple. If it doesn't generate you money that it takes you 12 months to make and it can do it in 1 month and it can't do it, it's a hobby. All you are going around telling us that you have side hustles, what you have is just hobbies. They are draining you, you are tired, you are always exhausted, and now you say you need therapy. No, the therapy is just cut all that shit and just do one. And you will save yourself from going to a therapist as well. So can we just start doing things that make us more focused rather than busy? especially if you grew up poor. Promise you, it's exhausting when I see poor people busy and getting poorer. It's just, I don't know who gave us this formula. The other part is that your ignorance is infinite. So when your ignorance is infinite, like all of us, the higher your ignorance, the higher your prejudice. So prejudice is a long-term emotional commitment to ignorance. That's all prejudice is. It's a long-term marriage to ignorance. So the more prejudice, the more homophobic you are, it just means you hold high levels of ignorance around sexual orientation. And partly because you are ignorant, you're also going to have fear. And the more fear you have, the more prejudice you're going to have. So all we're walking around here is to reduce our ignorance. The best way to do that is stop hanging around with people who look like you only. When I was at varsity, the first day in information system, we were given a project to code for a store. And then I had 5 black friends I joined with from poverty to UCT. And then we looked at each other, none had a computer, a laptop. And then I realized in that day that this is not going to work. Because all 5 of us said, no laptop. Now we need to go to the lab. When we get to the lab, there's a queuing system there. And we've never used a computer before. So we have many problems, but we are smart. And now I am thinking to myself, the only way we're going to get this done, when we're at the lab, 3 white boys come in, they do that project in 10 minutes. And then they were chatting, hey, John, I'm done. And I'm like listening to them. I'm like, fuck, these things, they are done. I'm still trying to work out how to switch on the computer. You see how high my levels of ignorance were. And then I went to them and I said, guys, I know you don't know me. Would you mind if I hang out with you from now on? And then they looked at each other. The 2 left. One who was more diversity, equity, inclusion champion decided to adopt me. The other 2 did not, which is life, by the way. You're going to get rejected a lot. And the guy who adopted me, we're friends to this day. And he took me to his house. And the first time I went to his house, his bedroom was 5 times the size of my RDP house. I nearly got lost in just his bedroom. That's also, again, I had high levels of ignorance. I was like, if he can do it, this guy is not as smarter than me. He's just more privileged than me. So that means I can also own the same house. You see, then his mom gave me a laptop. It was a spare. A spare laptop they were not using. I have none. That's what I call, if you don't admit that you have high levels of ignorance and you don't associate yourself with people who don't look like you, you don't reduce your ignorance. You compound it. So step out of your comfort zone and stop hanging out with people who look like you, who talk like you. There's no way you're going to reduce this ignorance if you don't broaden your circle. Make your circle bigger by stepping out with people. When I was poor, I made a decision I'm going to hang out with people who had money. Because there's also something in psychology called contagion effect. How the contagion effect works is if you hang out with 5 friends and they are all overweight, in 7 months, you will gain weight, whether you like it or not. If you hang out with friends who smoke or drink or use foul language, in less than 9 months, you adopt their habits. You are not as strong as you think you are. You are a social creature. And therefore, if you associate yourself with the things that you want, they tend to rub on you. So it's not that I'm allergic to poor people, but I just know that more I hang out with them, I know what's going to happen to me. So it's the same. If I want to hang out with great marketeers, I look for them and I hang out with them because I know over 7 months, 9 months, 10 months, what's going to happen to me. The other part, if you want to grow a great brand, is that you need to fall in love with conflict. You need to really love conflict. Now, at work, all the data we show at work is women are more conflict avoidant at work. You shy away from conflict. Amazingly, you are not conflict avoidant in an intimate relationship. This is amazing. Because actually in an intimate relationship, the risks are even higher. But there, you are not conflict avoidant. Men are conflict avoidant in an intimate relationship. Men avoid conflict in an intimate, but at work, they're more likely to be pro-conflict. Yeah, and instigators, like you should say, they are instigators. Yeah, you see so the key thing then is we all need to, and by the way, if you come from an underrepresented group, if you're a minority in any place, you are conflict avoidant most of the time. It's even worse when you are broke. So if you come from an underrepresented group and you are broke, you are chronically conflict avoidant. You see how we make choices and decisions that trip us along the way, and we don't grow our brands, partly because we score own goals. So you need to fall in love with conflict. People who avoid conflict don't invite harmony. They invite indifference. People around you become indifferent about you. Indifference is worse than hate or love. Because when people hate you, there's studies, they show someone drowning. They pick someone you hate. They said, who do you hate? Then you say it. And then they will ask that person to pretend like they're drowning in a pool. 9 out of 10, the people you hate, you will save them. Just so that you can look at them and say, I saved your ass. Because hate is a doing word. It's a verb. Same with love. It's a doing word. Indifference is passive. You will just take a video and post it on TikTok. That asshole drowned. And that's all that will happen. So work on these things, like fall in love with conflict. And I've already told you that you're not money, so you just need to fall in love with conflict. But you just need to learn to fight well. The biggest challenge for me in an intimate relationship is that I just didn't learn to fight well. So I was just conflict avoidant. I would just run. And one of the reasons I would run is because I grew up in a home that was very violent. Because I grew up in a violent home, I always forecast conflict as not an opportunity to grow, but an opportunity for bloodshed. And then I ran. But I had to learn that actually conflict is an opportunity to grow. It's not the end of the world. We're not going to do a Ukraine-Russia in this house. It's just going to be growth. But you have to learn to fight right. For me, these are the ones that I read that helped me. If you don't like reading, you can just go on YouTube. Most of these are now on YouTube, or you can go YouTube. Likely, there's always content creators who summarize things for others, or podcasts. Most podcasts have these books. You just need to search Crucial Conversations or Radical Candor, and you will find it. So you need to learn to fall in love with conflict, even with clients, by the way. For those who have consultancy businesses, if you think all you are there is to please the client, you are not going to do great work. But you're going to have to learn to fight right with the client, because you are poor, they have money. So you need their money, they need your idea. So you're just going to have to learn to fight right. But still, you need to learn to fall in love with conflict. Then the last thing on brand you is that just remember, and I don't know those who are religious, because I went to a mosque, synagogue, and is it Anglican and Catholic church. I realized that we forget that hope actually still matters. Because even in the scripture, it says faith is the substance of the things we hope for. So don't lose hope. Because when you lose hope, you become not skeptical, you become cynical. And when you are cynical, you are more prone to depression anyway. Because you're not going to like the world, you're going to want us dead. And it now doesn't help that you don't have hope and you are broke. So this part, I'm going to say it all the time until it lands, that you need hope. Now, you also need to accept that you need luck. All of us need luck. There's no way you're going to get through this world without luck. But there's a theory on luck, by the way, a studied theory on luck, that there are 3 types of luck. The first luck that we all have is called dumb luck, which is God's luck. The parents you are born with, the fact that you're born beautiful or tall and not short. By the way, short people have really struggles in life, and they have to work 10 times harder to be noticed, literally and figuratively. And same if you're ugly. People who are beautiful, born beautiful, have what we call in psychology the beauty premium. Because if you're beautiful, we perceive you to be smart. You haven't said anything, but that's just dumb luck. You were born with it, use it or abuse it. That's just dumb luck. And if you have high IQ, because mostly your mom is smart, because most of high IQ comes from the mother. So if your mother is smart, you have been blessed with high IQ, lucky. Your father just needs to be okay to not lower that IQ. So you're just lucky. So that's the first form of luck. The second luck is motion. You have to stand up and go do something. And that generates luck. By just standing up to go do something. The lady who said, this is your first day as a consultant firm, that's just luck. You just have to do it. Is it going to work? We don't know. Shit happens. But at least you try. You're better than the 100 million other people who had the idea and didn't try. So that's just luck. That's just generating luck. I spend time with traditional healers in Changa, KZN. And one of the things they used to say to me was, if you want to get a job and you are under a tree enjoying the shade and thinking, I am broke, unemployed, I need a job. He says, your ancestors are also sitting there thinking, yeah, you are. But they are not moving. They are just watching you like, hey, this one is stating a fact that we all know. They haven't added value to their lives and to society because they are saying something that we all know. But the day you stand up and go type the CV, you activate luck. Then your ancestors move 10 steps ahead of you to go pave the way for you. And then in Western culture, you say the universe conspires with you. In your traditions and cultures, we say your ancestors move 10 steps ahead of you and generate. Then when you get into a taxi, someone says, where are you going? Like, hey, I'm going to look for a job. I say, hey, they are hiring somewhere, you must go there. Where did that come from? It's because you activated luck. And then the third piece of luck comes from you making a decision on where are you going to be craft at? What's your craft? What are you going to be a master of? The thing that you are willing to be a master of, craftsmanship. The thing you're willing to spend all your time doing when others are not doing. If you're a graphic designer, the thing that you're willing to do as a graphic designer, that you become the best graphic designer ever. That also generates luck. Because the more craftsmanship you have, the more we would want you. Because there are other graphic designers, but you just love the craft. And you spend a lot of time doing the craft, and we will notice you one day. That also generates luck. So those are the 3 things that generate luck, by the way. The person who says they do graphic design, by the way, Canva has a creator program where you can become a graphic designer that earns money. So if you're looking for a side hustle that is within your core job, not some side hustle that is a hobby, that is still within your core job, you can become a Canva creator, generate templates and designs and elements. When people use them, you can have a royalty fee with Canva. You see? So don't say I didn't give you a tip here to increase, to move you out of anything that looks broke. Cool. So what about brands then? If you want to grow a brand or a business, what are the things that matter? Even if you grow a country, by the way, countries are also brands. So what are the things that really matter then, even that? The first part is when you are looking at a brand or a business, you also need to be very clear in this business what is not changing. because everyone is obsessed with what's changing. But you should also be obsessed with what's not changing. Because the thing that is not changing is the one that tells you that evolutionary biology is actually slow. For example, men are the slowest creatures to change. Especially not just the word man like general in the Bible. No, I'm talking about the gender XY chromosome. That gender takes forever to change. When a woman says to a guy, "What are you thinking?" and the guy says nothing. By the way, that question was asked 2 million years ago. And the answer is the same. Nothing. 2 million years ago, it was nothing. It's still nothing today. That just shows you how evolutionary biology works. We don't evolve that fast. And there's a reason, by the way, for most male brains take longer to develop up to age 25. That's why school is mostly suitable for women, because your prefrontal cortex develops faster, and by the time you turn 8, you have 1,000 plus emotional words. You can label things. Guys, Shem, if you like it, there's one, and that word is "I'm okay." And that's nothing. That's evolutionary biology. Things don't move as fast as you think they are. Human beings move slow, very slow, actually, not as fast as you think. And we confuse technology evolution with human evolution. The two are not the same. Just because you have a phone, it doesn't mean you are not a caveman with a cell phone. That's all you are. You're just still trapped in a cave. Now you can call someone. That's the only difference between you and your ancestors 1 million years ago. You haven't evolved that fast. So, same, your brain is designed for when you were hunting. The reason you have low memory is because if you have high memory for a hunter, you will be a bad hunter, because you can't remember every hunt, especially when you were chased by a lion. You have to just get over it. But now, if you're a natural, you have to remember everything, because you're breeding someone who has to grow. So we're all wired for something, but yours hasn't evolved, Jim. It's still stuck chasing a lion, being chased by a lion. It's there. Hasn't changed much. So that's why we need to figure out what is not changing in this business. Before you start, like people like to talk about AI. For example, they say AI, AI. But there are fundamental things that don't change, whether there's AI or no AI. Then the other part is, don't get bored before the consumer gets bored. A lot of the people who write brands or write copywriting, you get bored easily because you're in it. But we are not thinking about what you're thinking about all the time. So the gentleman says you are writing copy for Nando's. Maybe you think about it all the time. No. At my age, I'm also thinking about erectile dysfunction. Something else, like, you see. So that's taking 50% of my brain. And I don't have time to be thinking about your Nando's copy. You have it and you get bored, but I'm not bored. Because when I read, I'm like, oh, that's funny. And I laugh. And then you need to do more of that. But you're like, I'm done with this shit. I've been doing it for how many times now? I need something fresh. No, you should not get bored before I get bored. The end user decides boredom, not you. So the idea that you are bored, just get over it and just let us enjoy what you do consistently well. The other one is, we are not selling brands or product or service. We are actually in the business of solutions. So what you need when you run a consultancy, for example, is, we're not buying consultancy, we're buying solutions. So what we pay you is for solution. So what you should obsess is clear at identifying a problem, clear at offering a solution. You are a solution provider. You're actually not a consultant, you're not an agency, you're not anything, you're just solution providers. And the better the solutions, the better the value. The only time we complain about price is in the absence of a great solution. If the solution is poor, then we're going to say it's expensive. That's the only reason we're complaining about price. People who buy Louis Vuitton and go to a club, the solution is to generate leads. And hopefully conversion. So when they go club in that Louis Vuitton, they know that this will solve for a problem. Maybe they don't have game, but this shoe will do something for them. It's the same when a guy goes into a club and the first thing he does, he has the car keys of a Maserati, whatever key, and he puts it on the table. That's a solution. And that's to generate leads. And activating luck. This is you see club luck. And then you're gonna generate conversion. But you see, it's a solution. You're not buying a Maserati or Porsche. You are buying a solution. All of us here should be solution driven, not anything else. The stuff you call I run an agency, or I run a consultancy, or I work at Canva. No, Canva's job, the solution is to be a great visual online platform that helps people tell great stories. And the better stories you tell, the more likely you're going to generate better leads, the more likely you're going to generate conversion. That is the solution. The fact that it makes the slide looks nice, anyone can do that. So that's, and remember also that consumers have polygamous loyalty. Stop obsessing with wanting us to like only you. We are not in the business of liking only you. Your mother likes you if you are the only child. I grew up, there were 10 of us. So my mother had to spread the market share and love to all. But even there, mothers have that favorite. But mothers are not allowed to go around telling people, kids, you are my favorite. The other 9, they are okay. You, as consumers, us with you, and whatever you're developing, we have polygamous loyalty. We like minimum, we are loyal minimum to 3 brands in any category. Minimum 3. That's what our loyalty. We will give minimum 3. That's why in evolutionary biology and anthropology and sociology, we sometimes think that human beings are actually intuitively and genetically polygamous, far more than monogamous. The monogamy is social engineering. We think, guys, don't look at me now and go and justify this case, why you are whoring in this world. No, I'm just saying evolutionary biology tells us that we are more polygamous than we are monogamous. She says, no, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that's what we're learning from literature, is that human beings, including consumers, they are polygamous. So when you go to a store and you are looking for a washing powder, you are not going to leave there because Omo is not there. You're going to look at Skip, you're going to look at Mac, you might look at Sunlight, because you have a repertoire of brands that you are loyal to in that category. Same, when people go and buy a phone, you have a repertoire of brands in that category that you are loyal to. So it's the same. So your job is not to obsess with monogamy when building brands. Your job is to obsess to be in my consideration list. That's your job. Your job is to get yourself into my consideration list. So my nephew, 13, 14, is in the stage now where he wants to generate leads. So I am his consultant. Since I've lived long enough, I've generated enough leads. So I have a playbook that I'm offering him how to generate leads. Hopefully that will lead to a conversion. So I said to him, my nephew, you must remember, she is not only looking at you. There is a repertoire of other boys in class and outside the class that she is scanning. Our job is to do a playbook that allows her to put you in her consideration list. This is our job. And the second thing, we want you to be top of mind awareness. That's what we need. Doesn't mean there aren't others, but you are going to get to be top of mind awareness and spontaneous awareness, not prompted. We need it to be spontaneous. When she thinks, guy, you must pop up first. You see that marketing works. And the same thing as in when I say to him, marketing works, and I tell him that you need to tell great stories. You need to learn to be a great storyteller. So when the girl looks at you, like, you must tell stories that others don't tell. Then I send him a script. These are the stories we're gonna tell. You rehearse these stories. When you in front of the girl, we tell great stories. Because the reason you tell great stories is to win head and heart. Human beings are predictably irrational. Most of you here have dated someone where you woke up and you looked at them and you said, "What the fuck? What was I doing? How did I get here? This looked like a great idea in the beginning." That's because you are predictably irrational. That decision your heart made, not your brain. But you then post rationalize it to your friends and say, "Oh no, he's got a PhD. Oh no, he's same height as my father. Oh no." So you come up with data to justify what your feelings have already tricked you to make it. This is same when you buy a house, by the way. Most of you, there are three things we can do when you buy a house. We will do that will make you buy that house: change color, change lighting, and smell. And then you go in there and it smells so nice. And because you grew up poor, Hashem, and you're like, "Oh, that smell reminds me of a time when I was full. I love this house." And now you buy the house and then your friends come and now you have to post-rationalize your poverty decision. And then you say, "Oh, no, it was because the distance radius to school. I looked at the crime stats." No, Shem, your feelings made the decision. It's the same with storytelling. We are trying to tell stories that talk to the head and that talk to the heart. And one of the key things about storytelling, first be clear, and then if you have 2 seconds left, be clever. But don't start with being clever. The most difficult thing about storytelling is being clear. It's not being clever. If you're clear, we will find you clever anyway. But if you start with being clever, we won't find you clear. So make it 99% obsession with being clear and 1%, if lucky, clever. If you have time, don't even bother being clever, just bother being clear. And I said to my nephew that when we talk to that girl, we must be clear. She must not leave there wondering, what do you want to go out with her? Do you know, she must not, you're not a code, and she must not try to decode you. You're not a NASA project. You're just an everyday project. So that's the key thing. And then the other thing is, less is more. If you can, when you ever tell stories, stick to one thing. And if you move to two, then keep it to two. Anything longer than that, the brain doesn't remember. What the brain remembers is, "Oh, I saw an ad." And then you ask them what, they're like, "I don't know what they were saying, but I saw the ad." Because you had a lot to say. When we sell devices, for example, a phone, when we were marketing Google Pixel, the thing we did with Google Pixel, we focused on one thing, which was skin tones. And skin tones was, this camera is good for black skin tones. Because normally black people disappear, they ghost in a camera. And now we've solved that problem, that you can have a camera that takes great pics for black skin tones. That's the only feature. We don't tell you about the storage, radius, resolution, battery life. All of that stuff you will discover later. Find a story, the one thing that you want to talk about. The other stuff will be discovered later. The 4 things we know now about storytelling is video, voice, visual, and vernacular. And vernacular in this case is mother tongue. Mother tongue works. A lot of you are copywriters. What I noticed as well is that you write text a lot. Do you know that visual in psychology is that when you put a visual and you put this text, your eyes go here 44 times more than they come to text. And your memory, you remember the visual far more than you remember the text. So if you can, find the balance between how you do text versus how you do visual. And if it's moving, video, it tends to be remembered even more than if it is a still image. It's just your brain. And some of you, for example, don't even remember how people read. In South Africa, most people read from left to right. But then you put your copy here. It's like, which means you didn't do biology at school. Or you didn't do some form of human biology or something about how eyes move in a copy. So those are the things that I'm expecting. If you're really into craft, you will go study eye movement. You will go study how people look at visuals, because then it will improve your craft. but I don't see that a lot. And then this part is mother tongue. Mandela said that if you speak to someone in their language, first language or mother tongue, you speak to their heart. If you speak to them in their second language, you speak to their head. One of my things I did as my postdoctoral study, I did research on, I was trying to understand English ads, same ad. Then I dub it in Xhosa or Zulu or Afrikaans. Same ad. Change nothing except mother tongue, the tongue used in the ad. Almost all the ads we tested from Millward Brown, we were using Cantor Millward Brown. We partnered with Cantor Millward Brown. And all the ads we tested, this was the ad in English, the same ad in Xhosa. And you see, like, and then if I put you under an fMRI scan and I look at what we call cognitive load, I can see how much work you are doing to try and have study meaning of this ad. Then I can see what happens to you if Xhosa is your first language, how easier it is to increase this number and you understand. So amazing, 95% of South Africa TV ads are in English. In a country where less than 7% speak English as first language at home. And you are partly to be blamed because you are now the decision makers, but you never write in your mother tongue. But none of you here, when you have major problems, dream in English. When you have major ones, the major ones, your dreams move to mother tongue quickly because now your problems are big. When your problems are light, you're speaking English in your dream and things are nice. But when your problems are really big, you switch because your ancestors now need to intervene. And now you have to speak in Sesotho or Sepedi or Shangaan because now you have big problems. Somehow you know this intuitively that when you're angry, your feelings and emotions are best captured in the language that is your default language, your mother tongue. But somehow we miss that and we don't capture this anywhere in creativity. Why? Are we that colonized that we are not willing to decolonize our own minds? Because mother tongue is an amazing decolonize. It increases pride as well. But the audience that is here, that also writes copy, that does things, you don't do that, which means you are part of the problem. I did this with Domestos. This ad was doing so badly in English. And then we did it in Zulu. And if you look at the numbers, the differences, like statistical difference was so huge. Same ad, same target audience, just change the voiceover mother tongue. The same ad. That means short-term sales effect. Now, 28% is someone saying, I'm not buying this thing. Then they listen to the mother tongue, you have a plus 21% difference. So mother tongue works. I don't know why people were fighting government with the Bella Act when they're asking kids to be taught in their mother tongue. In education, if you learn in your mother tongue, it increases comprehension, it increases understanding, it increases reasoning. That's why kids who are taught in Afrikaans, if you speak Afrikaans and you're learning in Afrikaans school, which is why I know why the Afrikaner community are fighting not that to change, because when you learn in your mother tongue, you learn faster. I don't know why black people are like, oh, no, we must do English. That just means you colonized. Mother tongue works. And this is kind of something I always tell my nephew. There's a sound principle. Visibility and availability will always be there, whether you like it or not. Same, if you run a consultancy, we need to know you exist. So what are you going to do to increase visibility? The second part, when I do want to find you, you must be available. This doesn't change. In marketing, like if you're at Unilever, you will call this distribution availability, or you call it weighted distribution, numeric distribution, nominal distribution, but it's just availability. That's the same thing I told my nephew. I said, listen, that girl in your class, where do you sit and where does she sit? And she says, no, she sits in front, I'm at the back. I said, no, we need to improve visibility. Now we're going to move you from the back to front. Because the more she sees you, increases visibility and proximity. And by the way, most people you've dated, you think it was an act of God. No, it's called proximity. It's most people here who have married people is because you've met them somewhere. There are very few people who have married strangers. It's proximity, it's availability, and visibility. That's all you fell into a trap of availability and visibility. And the person you look at every day starts to look interesting. And that's what your eyes do, by the way. They adjust. Even when someone's ugly, your eyes adjust. Like, ah, man, this person is starting to look right. There's something, I'm vibing with this person. It's only when your friend says, yo, so and so is ugly. Like, what? What you talking about? So and so is fine. That's because you are suffering from visibility and availability. Your brain and your eyes are adjusting. The same when you're at a club. As you get closer to 12 o'clock, you adjust to what is available. The stock that is available is the stock you adjust your eyes to. Visibility and availability. I thought I should say it this way because now my nephew has moved. Now there's increase in proximity, increase visibility, and now he's available for carrying the bag as well. And so now the date is coming. This has been my 3 months project. I'm working, date is coming now. And then we're going to go on a date. And then I'm telling him, now, this is called sampling. They are sampling you. Now we're going to make sure we are a good sample. So that we can move to conversion. You say marketing works. Dating, relationship, because it's a relationship discipline. It's about building relationships. So it works all the time. So if I can show it to my nephew without showing me a marketing textbook and he gets it, it works. Then the other part is distinctive assets. Every brand, if you want to grow a great brand, you must have things that don't change about that brand. So you've all watched James Bond, 1958, 68 to now. So it's an old franchise, James Bond. But there are certain things about James Bond that don't change. And they shouldn't change. The first one is the white guy. This guy has been around white since 1958. Now, here's the trick. The kings and queens of DEI are going to say, people who are woke and want inclusivity at everything, no, he needs to be Idris Elba. No, you've killed the franchise because that's not how you build brands. You build brands on distinctive assets. If you want another action hero that's black, go watch Equalizer. Or go watch Black Panther. Or create another one. But stop bringing DEI into this brand franchise because you're going to kill it. Because if now it's Idris Elba, the next one's going to be Indian. Can you picture an Indian James Bond from Mumbai? Because that's where you're going. Then the next one you're going to say he must be gay. Because that's where you're going. Then the next one you're going to say he must be in a wheelchair. Then where does this thing end? Where? So that's the part with the dangers of dragging words that are woke and cool like DI and want to drag them into everything. It's the same when we do scripts here. We always want to show a colored, black, Indian, white person in one script. You know it's not true. Most of my friends, I don't have that rainbow every day. That's a lot of work. If I had it, I would be tired every day because I have to accommodate the entire rainbow every day. I can't. Most of my friends are darkies for good reason because there are things I just say they get. Then when I go to my rainbow, I have to prep and psych myself up because someone's going to say something I don't like anyway. And then, so I have to have more grace and more mercy, all of that when I go to my rainbow. But you write as if like the country has changed, which is not true. You can sell us an idea of a future we like, but you don't have to exaggerate it. Second thing about James Bond is the gun. It's a distinctive asset, hasn't changed. The third thing, it's a British car. It hasn't changed. The fourth thing, it's a gorgeous lady that comes out of the water with the bikini and her hair. Even if she's black, the hair, there's something about the hair. and she's gorgeous, and she's like a +10. Now, if you're a queen and king of DI, you're going to say, no, change her. She must come out of that body positivity. You now kill the brand because now we must accommodate everything that you want. Then create another one, then body positivity must come out of there. That's fine. I'm not saying no, but don't kill this franchise because you're a DEI champion. So be very careful on the things that we bring that feels woke, sound cool, but you destroy a brand. The other last thing then is that you must, Canva, they had a thing called a great business and a great brand must do two things, and it must be end-to-end. You create the most value for the company and the end user, and you do the most good that you can. Just those two things. It's the same when you run a consultancy, ask yourself, how do I create the most value? Because if your business is not making money, it's a hobby. Please, after a year, if this thing is not making anything, quit. Quitting is a virtue. People like to tell us like, no, hustlers don't quit. No, they're lying to you. Most great people have quit. You just need to know when to quit and also need to know when to quit. I mean, you've dumped a few people. Né? So, I mean, if you know, that's quitting as well. So if you've dumped people, that's quitting. So you can move it into business as well. Don't stay just because now you're committed to this thing. It's the same, by the way, for me. When I go watch movies, in 10 minutes, if the thing sucks, I leave. I am not committing 2 hours of my valuable time to something that sucks because now I paid 150 rand. No, I leave. I even go complain and ask for the manager. And the manager's like, what? I was like, no, I want a voucher. I'm going to come when I have a movie that satisfies the value that I have paid for. 9 out of 10, I get the voucher. Because the manager is also shocked. Like, hey, this one, what's going on? Is he okay? And then I come out and I say to the manager, I'm not watching this nonsense. This is nonsense. I paid 150 and this popcorn. Now, what am I going to do? Then 9 out of 10, I always get the voucher. And I leave. Or what I do, I get out of that movie and I think which other one I thought maybe would be of interest. And I go join that one. And I tell the management when they say, why are you moving? I said, hey, it's the same price. It's not like I'm trying to watch two at the same time. It's impossible. So I'm just leaving that one because it sucks. I'm just going to try this one. After 10 minutes, if this one's also not showing promise, I want my voucher. You see, that's living this because I love me. Then I love conflict. When you love yourself less, you're going to tolerate nonsense. So that's the key thing. So I'm not just in love with God. I'm not big on conflict, but I'm big on value for money. So that's why for me, I strongly advise people, when you're on a date and within 10 minutes you figure out that this thing is going nowhere, just leave. I mean, why waste or get drunk at least? Do something to waste the time. But don't stay here in a date that you know you've made up your mind already that this is not going anywhere. Then get drunk. At least maybe the person will start looking. Visibility and availability. So that's it, really. Those are the principles and those are the things that I think when you think about growing your personal brand and you think about growing a business and a brand, those are the principles that when you apply them, they work. That's just it. Thank you.